the first episode of The Metal Hunter. My name is Luke. The idea behind this channel, this fucking project, whatever the fuck it is basically, I'm in my 30s now.
Loose skin and old balls, gross.
All my friends are sick of me talking at them about metal.
Shut up! Oh my god, I don't care!
So I've decided to piss off the internet instead. I'll be releasing videos weekly. I'll be talking about reviews, interviews sometimes maybe, unboxings, reactions, all the dumb shit that people do on the internet. I'm going to be doing, but it's going to be all involved with metal and maybe a little bit of hardcore, as you'll probably understand. If you like what you see, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it, get your friends involved. I want to build as much of a community as possible. I am from the Hunter region in New South Wales, Australia, hence the Metal Hunter. I like to be punny, so you'll probably find that out really quickly, and then you'll probably get the shits with me and unsubscribe, but please don't do that. This week I'll be going through 10-ish albums that really shaped the way that I am, stylistically when it comes to music, and just albums that have really, really stuck with me or had an impact on me. So thanks for joining, and yeah, have fun, I guess. Or if you don't, fuck you. Alright, The Metal Hunter, episode 1, finally. I've tried to film this about 56 million times, mainly because it's hotter than Satan's dick in this room and the sun is directly next door to my house. So it's taken me a couple of tries to get it through. My brain is fucking melting right now, but I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to go through 10-ish albums that have influenced me, that have hit me at the right time in my life, that have stuck with me over the years, that are my favorite albums, you know, all that kind of shit. And I'm going to give you tracks off the albums that I really love and I think that you guys should check out. A lot of the stuff is kind of entry-level metal stuff that, you know, if you're a metal fan, you've probably at least heard of the band, if not the album, or the vice versa. So we'll just start at the beginning. This is the first metal record I ever bought with my own money. I had metal stuff, like I'd listen to metal stuff beforehand, but I hadn't heard anything as aggressive as this, which is funny saying this now, because they're not aggressive compared to anything now. White Zombie, Astro Creep 2000. I love Rob Zombie, I love his voice, I love that he says yeah every 45 seconds. I love his movies, I'm a big fan, I'm a fanboy of what he's got to do and say. You know, he has done a lot of great records. He's done some records that aren't as great, but I still love them. This was my first foray into kind of heavier metal and kind of more yelly, screamy kind of stuff. The track that I first heard off this was on Crusty Demons of the Dirt, of all places. It was those old motorbike videos where they do the big jumps and backflips and shit like that.
We all go down for the Lego picture moment through the pixel nails in the bed of the holy.
It's called Electric Head Part 1, The Agony. It's the first track off this album. And if you want to check out White Zombie for the first time, it's definitely a great place to start. Ooh, here we go, through the first one. Okay, so second one, Death. That is upside down. Second one, Death, Human. Now, if you're a death metal fan, modern death metal fan, it's probably good to go back and check out the elders, like Death, Atheist, Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Cynic, you know, those old school death metal bands that really like carved the way for everyone else. Death is one of the best death metal bands ever, and arguably the first. Obviously, there's the whole argument between whether it was Death or Possessed. I've got my money on Death. And even if they weren't first, they made it better. Sorry, guys. So this is my favorite album by Death. This one I actually bought, and then I didn't buy anything by Death for years and years because it was really hard to find the stuff. Fortunately, Relapse re-released and remastered every album, but this one still remains my favorite. If you're going to check out anything off this album, check out See Through Dreams, track 6. It's fucking killer. Has a riff in it that sounds like bodies being like fucking grinded up. It's amazing. All right, next. Anthrax, Persistence of Time. These guys are one of my favorite bands. Obviously, most of these guys will be some of my favorite bands. This is my favorite album by them. It was the first one that I ever owned. I got this given to me. I've since rebought the copy. This is the... I don't know what happened to my other copy, which is a shame because my other copy was actually signed. I was fortunate enough, myself and my best friend actually got into an Anthrax show in Sydney when we were underage. We went to the Anthrax signing earlier in the day, and we had a chat to Charlie Benanti, and we were basically like, dude, what the fuck is with this over 18 shit? We love Anthrax. We've been waiting for you guys to come out to Australia. They were touring with Soilwork and Killswitch Engage at the time, and we were like, we need to see those bands. We need to see you guys. Like, what the fuck? And Charlie Benanti was like, okay, we'll put you on the door list. You'll be fine. You'll get in. We went over to the venue and we said, oh, look, you know, we're on the door list. Can we get in? And they were like, no, you're under 18. You can't get in. So we ended up running back into Charlie while we were in the city, and we were like, dude, we can't get in because we're under 18. It's cool. You tried, whatever. And then he was like, you guys meet me around the side at 9 p.m. sharp and we'll let you in. So we're around the side of the metro in Sydney. If you guys know where that is, there's like a big alleyway up the side, and then there's like a door to get into the venue for artists and workers, I guess. White van pulls up, Charlie Benanti and Scott Ian get out, and fucking John Bush was singing at the time. They get out of this van and they come up and they like they get the doors opened by security. Scott Ian pats me on the back and says, don't get caught drinking. We walk in with Anthrax and walk into the crowd and watch half a Soilwork set and then watch Anthrax fucking rip the place apart. It was amazing. Absolutely fucking love these guys. If you're going to check out this album, it's a little bit slower than their older stuff. A little bit more crunchy. In My World, track 4, they did release it as a single. It's a great video, and it's a bit of a fuck you anthem. So check that out if you're keen on checking out some Anthrax, if you haven't already. We're going to keep it within the big 4, and we're going to go with Metallica and Justice for All. Now, a lot of bands have influenced me and stuck with me over the years. Obviously, Metallica is quite a entry-level band. They're one of my favorites. I absolutely love everything about them. The only thing that I won't touch from them is Lulu, because I don't actually think it's a Metallica record. I don't know what it is. Anyway, and Justice for All, lyrically, sonically, everything about it is fucking crushing. I can't wait for the remaster to actually hear what the bass lines are like. That should be coming out very, very shortly. I would say my favorite track on here is the opener, Blackened. It rips. They called their record label Blackened for a reason, because it's a fucking awesome song. So check that out. If you haven't delved back into the back catalogue of Metallica, this is a great place to start. A lot more muscular, kind of going towards the Black Album, kind of like more riffy stuff, less thrashy, I guess, like fast single note thrash, but still absolutely brilliant. Fucking love it. All right, keeping within the big 4, this is the last of the big 4 bands, because that other one, I'm not really a big fan of them, but I've got all their albums, whatever. Anyway, Slayer, Diabolus in Musica. Now, I bought this the same day that I bought Iowa by Slipknot. A lot of people hated this album. I fucking loved it. I was, and I still am, a very big fan of a lot of new metal bands. And Slayer, who I really enjoyed, you know, I had Hell Awaits and Rain and Blood and all that kind of stuff. I had those albums. You know, them taking on a new sound was interesting to a lot of people. But to me, I thought they did a really, really good job. It was more eerie and more like about mood and vibe and shit like that. If you want to check this album out and you are a Slayer fan and you haven't really delved into this, check out the opening track, Bitter Peace. It's got that groove kind of laden stuff that they were trying on the album, but they also do those single note thrash kind of shit, kind of faster parts in that. So one of my favorite albums. I absolutely fucking love it. I love how fucking spooky the album cover is. And speaking of spooky album covers, the next album in my 10-ish albums is Morbid Angel's Gateways to Annihilation. One of the earlier death metal bands or albums that I got into. I know that it came out in 2000, but I'm 31 now, so like I was only in my early teens when I got this album. My best friend showed me Where the Slime Lives, and I was like, holy fuck, what is this demonic fucking monstrous band? I need to buy everything that I can find from them. At the time, I couldn't find anything except for their newest album, which was Gateways to Annihilation. Absolutely fucking pummeling. Eric Rutan plays guitar on this, who is one of my favorite guitarists. One of my favorite vocalists as well. If you're going to check out Morbid Angel and you haven't, or you like the old shit and you don't know about the new shit, I would say try out track 6, At One With Nothing. Absolutely fucking pulverizing, pummeling, pretentious, precocious, just fucking heaps heavy drums in it. Dan Seagrave did the album cover, and that's another one of my favorite album covers. All right, if you guys are still with me 10 minutes in, comment down below. Tell me what's been your favorite so far out of the albums that I've picked. The next album is Deicide, Once Upon the Cross. I picked this album up secondhand. The only reason that I picked it up was because there was blood on the cover and because it was from Roadrunner Records. At the time, I was under the belief that you could buy anything from Roadrunner Records and it would rip. That kind of stopped being true over the years, but this definitely was an album that ripped and still does on all accounts. This is my favorite Deicide album. It was the first album by them that I bought. I actually had to shelve this album for a little while and hide it from my mum. I had to shelve it because it was too brutal for me. It was too much. I wasn't used to those really guttural fucking vocals from Glenn Benton yet, and all of the blast beats and everything like that. I eventually got over it and stopped being a sook, and then started listening to this, and I basically listened to it once a week ever since. I'm still listening to it on the regular. This disc has gone through fucking a lot. Might have to buy a new copy soon. Just when I almost forgot, if you want to check a track out off this, just go with the title track, Once Upon the Cross. It is the first song on the album, and it fucking rips. Sepultura Rise. That's upside down again. Sepultura Rise. Fuck yeah. I bought this on the same day that I bought the Deicide record, and this was a little bit more accessible to me. You know, it wasn't as brutal, as fucking guttural. I've always loved Max Cavalera's voice. At the time, I'd already heard Roots and a little bit of Chaos AD. One of my cousins had a couple of CDs and he'd play stuff to me and I was like, oh, I like that. But Arise was a little bit more heavy, a little bit faster. This is my favorite album by Sepultura. Fucking love this shit. Dead Embryonic Cells is maybe my favorite Sepultura song of all time. That's the song that I'd recommend off this. Check it out. Sepultura, Arise, on Road Racer Records, back when it was called Road Racer in 1991. Fuck yeah. I knew that. Next is a album that kind of opened the doors for me for a whole subgenre of metal, and that is black metal. You guys are probably going to laugh when you see this. Cradle of Filth, Midian. I know, they're not black metal, whatever. They're thrash metal with keyboards and a fucking screeching vocalist. I think that they came along at the right time. I was looking for something that was a little bit more evil, a little bit darker, a little bit faster. But I've always been a fan of melody. I like things where you can, even if it's screamed, you can sing it back. You can, the hook, all that kind of shit. Cradle of Filth, fucking kings of that. I actually recently saw them live in Sydney, once again at the Metro, which is like one of my favorite venues. And they fucking ripped the place apart. It was amazing. The track off this album that I would tell you to check out would be Her Ghost in the Fog. It's a single. Check it out. It's got a fucking great video. Super awesome, old, doomy kind of fucking vocals at the start, and then into the screechy Danny Filth shit. Back when I was about 14 or 15, when I first got into this album, I tried my hardest to look like Danny Filth, so I dyed my hair, wore eyeliner, all kinds of shit. Things we do for metal. All right, we are getting down to, how many have we gotten through? We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. We've gotten through 9, okay. So we're coming up to number 10, and then we're going to have like a couple more. Okay, so Slipknot, self-titled. Now I've got a couple of copies of this album because I listened to it so much. I've got the original version that first came out, the band version, and then I've got a re-release version, and then I've got this version with the bonus DVD. I fucking love this album. I love Slipknot. I didn't like their last album, the Grey Chapters. Look, I understand that they needed to make an album, and I just think that a lot of it was filler. It was plodding along, there wasn't anything exciting. There's a couple of cool riffs and stuff, but it just wasn't for me. I always come back to this record. It taught me that you can scream a lot of things really quickly. Corey Taylor is a fucking monster. I fortunately met him a couple of years ago, got a photo and all that kind of shit, and he signed my book, or his book that he wrote, because I've never written a book, not yet. I would say track 13, Only One. Check that out. I still remember being in English class in like year 11, something like that, with my Sony Walkman, blasting that and having the teacher just yell at me while I was just like, I don't give a fuck, listening to Slipknot, that's all that matters.
Ooh, tough guy.
To be young again and alive, emotionally and mentally.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day...
Okay. So, this is my favorite band, probably my favorite album of all time, Pantera, Great Southern Trendkill. I own 3 copies of this album. So I've got the 2016 re-release, I've got the standard edition, and then I've got the Australian tour edition that came out, I think it was 97 when they toured here. It doesn't say on there, but it's got the little sticker on the front. And the second disc has like a greatest hits. It's basically the set list that they were playing on that tour. Obviously, there's a lot to be said about Pantera and their influence, and also a lot to be said when it comes to negativity around Phil Anselmo and his political leaning and his thoughts about things. I try my hardest a lot of the time to separate the artist from the actual art. Sometimes it is hard. After that happened, it was quite difficult to go back to listen to Pantera or Down or Superjoint Ritual or any of the bands that Phil sang in. But I still absolutely fucking love what Vinny and Dime did, and obviously Rex as well. I still love Phil's voice. I love his lyrics, all that kind of shit. He seems to be making quite a few good steps into the way of redemption, I guess you'd say. Laying off the white wine. I mean, if you're going to do something dumb, just fucking do it and own up to it, right? All right, so we are up to 11. So, like I said, it was going to be 10-ish albums. Next up is Nevermore, Dead Heart in a Dead World. Now, this album actually turned 18 years old yesterday as of filming this. So that is 17th of October. So today's the 18th, yesterday was the 17th, and this video will probably be up tomorrow or some shit, whatever. Anyway, Nevermore, Dead Heart in a Dead World. I went through this phase where I went from new metal and hard rock and a little bit of death metal, Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, stuff like that, into a phase of I only listen to black metal, death metal, and some thrash metal. So like Pantera, Metallica, Slayer, shit like that. I would not listen to anything melodic. I wouldn't listen to any metal with singing. I was like, if there's singing in it, I don't want to fucking hear it. Then I heard this album. I was like, I heard Believe in Nothing. The single came out and it was on Rage, which is like a late night Australian music show that plays on Friday and Saturday nights, and Believe in Nothing came in with that and I was like, okay, this is cool, this is riffs, and then fucking War All Day and started singing, and I was like, I had goosebumps immediately. I was just like, what the fuck is this? What is this? Why have I not been listening to this kind of shit my whole life? And it opened up my eyes and made me realize that there are a lot of bands out there that have incredible vocalists and they have a lot to say and great melodic voices that can still kind of be brutal and not kind of like soft or pussy-like, I guess you'd say. So, Nevermore, Dead Heart in a Dead World. I would say check out Believe in Nothing. I did skip over the song on the Pantera Great Southern Trendkill, mainly because I can't choose a song off it. The whole album is fucking absolutely, I don't want to use the word banger, but it's a fucking banger. If you want, you could probably just go and listen to Drag the Waters or just listen to the whole fucking album. Don't be a dickhead. The last one actually isn't necessarily a metal record. It's still within the metal subgenres. I have it tattooed on my arm, so last one is Jane Doe by Converge. Came out in 2001 through Equal Vision Records and also on the Death Wish imprint, which is obviously Jacob Bannon's record label. Not necessarily metal, but still fucking heavy. They were a metallic hardcore band, and then they released this in 2001 along with a split with Agoraphobic Nosebleed. And they went their own way, basically. They started doing riffs and kind of more off-tempo, off-time kind of rhythms. It's kind of hard to describe Converge and Jane Doe and the impact that it had on the world, or at least the musical world. I don't know if your average person that's working in a post office gives a fuck about Jane Doe. But this is only actually a recent, when I say recent, I mean like 5 years ago. This came into my life. I knew about Converge. I liked them. There were songs that I really, really loved. And then, so the first song that I heard from them was Eagles Become the Vultures. And I saw the video clip. I was like, holy fuck, this is amazing. They had that big swinging kind of breakdown. And then I kept seeing this image everywhere. And I was like, okay, what is this? And it kept getting voted up in the top 100 or top 10 metal and hardcore records. So I listened to it. Concubine kicked in and fucking kicked my ass. Lyrically, it fucking resonated with me as a young, angry teenager who'd maybe had his heart broken a couple of times. And yeah, it just hit me in right between the eyes. I fucking love it. Jane Doe by Converge. Once again, this is a 10 out of 10 record to me. I don't know if I can choose anything, but the biggest song off this is Concubine, the opening track. Check it out if you're a metal fan and you're not really familiar with Converge. All right, so what? That was 13 albums. Yeah, cool. 13 albums. There we go. Nice and unlucky. That's a metal number. Thank you so much for bearing with me through my first episode. I really hope that you got something out of it. I will be uploading weekly. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Facebook to keep up with our uploads and our content. I will be talking about news and shit like that through the weeks as well. Yeah, really, really happy to have you guys. If you've got anything you want me to review or anything you want to know about me, hit me up. You can email me, you can message me, you can fucking send a carrier pigeon, do it, throw rocks at my house, whatever the fuck you got to do. All right, cheers guys, appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Bye.